Well, it can also be a bad thing. You know, we think augmented reality is really cool, but companies and brands are a little wary of it because we, as users, as a general public, can actually do things with their brand. Something that's happened recently is that BP, British Petroleum, which we all know is the cause of that terrible Gulf oil spill, somebody's kind of fighting back, and they're fighting a little bit dirty in the augmented reality world. They've actually created an app that you can point to a BP Petroleum sign, and it will actually show gushing oil.
Yeah, it'll actually show the logo gushing oil. This is one of the things that we've talked about time and time again, both on our podcast and actually on SV a couple of times, is the whole idea of user-generated content. A lot of these platforms allow for users to integrate all types of really cool stuff because you're basically allowing them to interact in a very close relationship with your brand. But also, by doing this, the door does swing the other way, and I think BP is definitely an easy target considering the scope of what's happening right now. So, you know, it is a negative backlash, but quite frankly, by BP kind of fighting this, I think it draws more attention to it rather than, I don't want to say embrace it, but finding a way to either make it funny or find a way to make it work for them. I think by lashing out and getting really upset and filing all these lawsuits, I think they're just drawing more attention to it and making themselves look more foolish.
Well, I think the whole thing around that is the fact that brands really are losing a lot of control over it. So this guy created this app. In theory, BP could turn around and sue him for defamation, right? For any number of things. So I think it swings both ways as someone who's creating that content as well.
Well, there's nothing that says that a person can't generate content. There's nothing that says he can't create an application that does that. There definitely is some legal issue in the fact that he did use a trademarked logo. But again, how much more attention are you drawing to yourself negatively where there's already a huge negative amount of information and news kind of lambasting them? How much more negative attention do you really need? Quite frankly, I think had you just kind of been quiet, it probably would have been one of those apps that may have been just ignored after a while. The fad would have gone over and it would have been like, okay, that's great, but what's the next new thing?
Yeah.
Now they're making it a big, big eyesore.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. And obviously, if you've got some news on that, we'd love to hear from you. I think the next thing really is geeky. I mean, super, super geeky. Get your inner game person out.
Yeah, if you're a huge movie and or video game buff, one of the things that really excited me about this week is there is a motorcycle company that is actually based out of Florida, and they're creating street legal Tron light cycles. Now, if any of you out there are familiar with Tron, it was a Disney movie from way back when, and this coming December they actually have Tron 2 Legacy coming out, and so in homage to the Tron world, the environment, they actually created street legal light cycles that are really, really slick looking. You'll be able to see that it does have the neon lights. It does come with a Tron helmet, but it's not legal. That actual helmet's not legal, it's just more for aesthetics. You will still need a legalized helmet, but the motorcycle itself is slick. It's neon colored, and it does have the option of coming with an electric motor or a gas-powered motor.
I don't care so much about the helmet as I care about the bodysuit. You're going to have to be a certain kind of person who's really comfortable in your own skin to wear the Tron bodysuit because, one size doesn't fit all in that space.
Yeah, the actual motorcycle itself is not your standard sitting upright type motorcycle. You actually do kind of have to lay into it very much like the movie. The suit that they actually have in the photo, as you'll see, is I guess like a skin suit almost, because it also is stylized off the movie as well. So you're right, definitely one size does not fit all. Now, of course, the big question is, how can I get my hands on one of these? And I'll tell you, if you happen to have just $35,000 lying around in your house,
chump change.
$35,000 will actually get you a light cycle. They will build it, customized for you, and it takes anywhere from 6 to 10 weeks for them to do the turnaround. This kind of reminds me of the custom choppers, that TV show that they used to make the custom choppers for, what was it, Orange County choppers? It's very similar to that concept. This company out of Florida will basically build this light cycle for you. What I find even more interesting is because they are geeks themselves, prior to this, they actually created the Bat Pop, which was a Batman motorcycle, which was really slick, but unfortunately because of the weaponry, that was not street legal.
The weaponry, folks. Yes. The weaponry.
That actually was not street legal. So, hey, if you're a big fan of Tron, I definitely suggest you check it out. Look up Tron Light Cycle on Google. We'll also have it on our Tekken 20 website because just the images alone really excite me.
So this is like a Tron porn or something, right?
Oh man, I would love to wrap my legs around this, I tell you that.
Speaking of wrapping things around other things, I want to talk a little bit about Verizon mocking Apple's iPhone 4 antenna issues. You know, I have to say, Apple, I personally have not really run into those challenges, and I've got an iPhone 4, but I hear people are really upset about it. They're kind of moaning and groaning, and they don't like the fact that Apple's kind of being dismissive about it. And to me, I'm like, oh, just buy it. Everybody uses a case anyway. What is the big deal?
Yeah, I think a lot of it, I think it was like a huge backlash from the left-handed community, because it was typically people who held
the
it with their
left-handed
hand.
community.
It was people that had typically held their phone with their left hand, and so it was somehow blocking the receiver. The antenna was not receiving signal. You drop bars, you drop calls, and it just was non-functional. Of course, they have stated a case, will definitely improve your situation.
Sure.
But there's a lot of people out there who don't like to wrap their fancy device in any kind of case. Why? I don't know. I don't know.
Now, this is coming from someone who does not have a case on the phone, but only because I haven't found one that I liked, and that's the only reason.
Yeah, exactly. So, actually, the interesting thing about the Droid X by Motorola on the Verizon network is they actually pulled out a New York Times ad that is, it's a slight to Apple, very minor. It's very subtle, too. You're going to have to kind of read the entire ad to really get it. One of the things that this phone actually does have built in is an antenna on both sides. So you will not drop calls because you're touching it in any way whatsoever. But at the very bottom in bold, what does that say right there, Jennifer? Can you see that?
It says, "You have a voice and you deserve to be heard."
Ouch.
And then they also have the tagline, "I don't." Yikes.
So, yeah, exactly. So, you tag in the phrase "I don't" with the whole hold differently concept, and you start to see kind of this trend of people really being really unhappy with how dismissive Apple has been with the antenna issue. Now, one of the articles that I wrote for a site not too long ago was an article that actually stated on Apple's website they actually posted 5 jobs they're hiring for related to antenna issues. Now, I'm sure it's something more than just for the iPhone 4. I'm sure it may even be for future products. But because they did have these openings, it's a good indication that perhaps they are going to look at ways to adjust the issue, maybe put an antenna on both sides or move it all together. I'd be very curious to see what Apple's going to do in the future to solve this problem.
I think they should have just given us a case, they had those little wraparound things. Why didn't they just give it to us?
What about the lawsuit issue, the class action lawsuit?
That's just some attorneys just trying to get rich. We're not going to get anything out of it. You may get like 5 cents off your next purchase.
Yeah, to me that's a bit much.
I think it's a bit much. I mean, this device, even though it has that challenge, is amazing. And so, I don't know. I'm just thinking, meh. I'm over it. I'm over it. I don't have a worry about it.
Yeah, we're not left-handed either, so
I guess if I were part of that lefty community, I might be concerned.
And if you are part of that left-handed community and you have some gripes about your iPhone, I really would love to hear from you. We'd love to read your comments. What are your thoughts? Send your gripes to us too, because we really want to know what you all are thinking, and if you're really experiencing these problems, and you can actually send that at getsocial@techin20.com. Send that email to us.
We'll try not to make fun of you too much.
We just really would love to hear, because quite frankly, I don't know very many left-handed people, so I haven't run into a whole lot of people that have had those gripes that everybody's talking about.
My sister uses both hands, and she said that she notices it right away.
Interesting.
So I don't know, but not me.